Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're decoding what is arguably one of the most intense, completely mysterious concepts in all of Vedic astrology. It's the shadow force known as Rahu. But listen, we aren't just going to sit here talking about the stars. We're actually translating this ancient idea into a really powerful framework for self-mastery. So whether you're already a huge astrology nerd or honestly just fascinated by human psychology, you are going to find this wildly relevant to how we actually live our lives today. Let's get into it.
I want to kick things off with this really dramatic thought. Rahu does not destroy the soul, it tests the mind. Wow, that just beautifully sets up our entire journey today, doesn't it? We're taking a trip right from the darkest psychological shadows straight into brilliant, illuminating light. Because you see, this whole concept, it isn't about predicting bad luck or anything like that. It's really about understanding how you and I process extreme, intense internal pressure.
All right, here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, we'll meet the shadow architect. Then, we'll cover why this is guidance, not a diagnosis, look at some fascinating astrological combinations, see how Rahu shows up in modern society, and finally, wrap up with healing and transformation. It's a nice, structured path to unpack this profound cosmic concept safely.
Okay, part 1. Let's meet the shadow architect, this invisible underlying force. So, the absolutely crucial thing to understand right off the bat is that ancient astrologers did not view Rahu as a physical, rocky planet. You can't just look through a telescope and point it out. Instead, it was conceptualized as an invisible mathematical point, basically a shadow force. You can kind of think of it as the ultimate amplifier for the human mind. It literally represents the soul's unfulfilled hunger, and it just magnifies whatever it touches, creating this extreme psychological duality.
And right here is where we hit Rahu's core paradox. On the one hand, an afflicted state can plunge us deep into the valleys of illusion, obsession, fear, and even addiction. It brings intense emotional instability. But, and this is a massive but, on the exact flip side, when that same intense energy is positively directed, it sparks absolute, undeniable genius. It brings out fearlessness and revolutionary thinking. It really is the raw, untamed energy of innovation.
Moving into part 2, guidance, not a diagnosis. Let's talk about the ethical use of astrology.
Before we dive any deeper into the combinations, we've got to ground ourselves in how to actually use this ancient wisdom properly. Astrology is a symbolic guidance system, okay? It's meant to spark awareness and encourage healing. It should absolutely never be used to scare people, and it is definitely not a substitute for real medical science. Human life is just way too beautifully complex for that. We're influenced by our daily choices and our environments, not just the stars above us.
Because of that reality, if you or anyone you know is going through severe struggles, we're talking persistent hopelessness, deep depression, thoughts of self-harm, or an emotional breakdown, you must seek support from mental health professionals or emergency services right away. Even the ancient texts actually teach us to use every single tool available for healing, and modern medicine is a pretty crucial one.
All right, part 3. Let's get into the astrological combinations and their real-world psychological effects.
So let's see what happens when Rahu meets the moon. In this system, the moon represents our mind and our emotions. When Rahu's shadow rolls in and amplifies the moon, it can, frankly, create some pretty intense emotional instability and sheer mental exhaustion. But what is incredibly fascinating here is that when this energy is positively transformed, this exact same placement unlocks impossibly deep intuition, boundless creativity, and profound spiritual awakening. It's like flipping a switch.
Next up, we have Rahu in the 8th house. Now, the 8th house governs our hidden depths, the stuff below the surface, and psychological transformations. So naturally, Rahu placed here can manifest as obsessive thinking or this really crippling fear of uncertainty. And yet, if someone does the inner work and spiritually evolves, they can use this exact same placement to achieve mastery over hidden subjects, develop extraordinary research intelligence, and unlock a truly deep ability to heal other people.
Okay, what about Rahu combined with Saturn? Saturn is known as the planet of intense pressure and heavy responsibility. Add Rahu's magnifying shadow to that and, well, someone might feel totally emotionally trapped. They could be battling chronic stress and just really intense loneliness. But wait, here is the flip side. Through disciplined spiritual practice, that immense heaviness literally transforms into unmatched endurance, powerful leadership, and the exact kind of resilience you need to drive massive social reform.
Finally, let's look at combining Rahu with the fiery energy of Mars. When this is imbalanced, wow, it's an explosive combination. It triggers impulsiveness, major anger explosions, and highly reckless behavior. But what happens when it's harnessed and balanced emotionally? It becomes the literal blueprint for pure courage. It grants competitive success and this unstoppable entrepreneurial power to take massive, fearless action.
Moving into part 4, Rahu in modern society, specifically the digital age.
A hungry mind in a world full of illusions. This idea just perfectly captures the essence of Rahu in our modern world, doesn't it? I mean, we live in this crazy time where constant digital connectivity and endless scrolling somehow leave us feeling completely empty at the end of the day. That insatiable non-stop hunger for external validation, yeah, that is pure Rahu energy operating right now in the 21st century. Just think about our current psychological landscape for a second. We've got social media obsession, a pervasive anxiety culture, this desperate addiction to going viral, and just constant digital comparison. All of this is Rahu's amplifier effect in full action. It creates this profound addiction to escapism and sets up these wildly unrealistic expectations, which ultimately just leads to intense, widespread digital loneliness.
And that brings us to a very, very modern paradox. You see so many people out there who look like they are just totally winning at life externally. They've got the followers, the status, the perfectly curated aesthetic, yet internally, they are battling a profound emotional emptiness and serious identity confusion. It really is the ultimate illusion.
Finally, Part 5, Healing and Transformation. Let's look at the pathways to wisdom.
The beautiful thing astrology teaches us is that these dark planetary periods, they are entirely temporary. And Rahu isn't calmed by panicking or fear. It's calmed through structured awareness. Things like meditation, breath control like pranayama, performing simple charity for those in need, or even just serving animals. It's about setting up solid grounding routines and physically removing yourself from toxic environments. You do these things to pull yourself out of your own head, shatter the illusion, and reconnect with grounded reality.
Another incredibly powerful tool here is traditional mantra chanting. Chanting the phrase Om Ram Rahave Namaha essentially acts as a sonic anchor for your brain. It actively cuts through all that noisy overthinking, quiets the mind's illusions, and slowly builds up this incredible internal discipline and spiritual balance.
Now, what I find truly inspiring is this realization right here. The exact same energy that creates so much mental confusion has the capacity to create extraordinary insight. I mean, so many of the world's most profound healers, brilliant artists, and visionary leaders only truly discovered their gifts after they navigated a really intense Rahu phase. The challenge literally became their path to wisdom. If you happen to be sitting in the middle of a mental storm right now, please take a second and internalize this truth. A troubled mind does not need judgment. It needs understanding, healing, and hope. That is the entire goal of this ancient knowledge, and of this explainer too. It's all about arming you with deep self-awareness and compassion. Absolutely never fear.
Just remember, the darkness is really only a temporary canvas. Even under Rahu's shadow, the light of consciousness can still rise. Look, some of the absolute hardest battles we fight happen totally silently, right inside the human heart. But they are so often just meant to test your mind, right before you experience your ultimate spiritual awakening.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder today. Will you let the shadow architect build your illusions? Or will you harness that immense power to design your own awakening? Because the choice of how to use the amplifier is entirely yours. Thank you so much for exploring this totally fascinating cosmic framework with me today. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.